A very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us again this evening on the agenda. My name is Toiwanja Bella. Tonight on the platform, we welcome back Uncle Ben Siyambango, who is a chairperson of the movement for the survival of the river races. Of course, as you know now, those who follow this platform would know that Uncle Ben here agitates for what he calls Zambesia, a supposed state somewhere in the eastern part of, it would actually border Namibia to the east if it was there. Today, Uncle Ben want to discuss also part of the Caprivi treason suspects who continue to face legal challenges, and he believes that if that demarcation was clearly defined, maybe those people will not be facing the challenges that they face today. Thank you, Uncle Ben, for making time again and coming to the platform.
Thank you.
We saw that I think is a High Court?
No, judge. It was the High Court.
Yes, the High Court has granted leave to appeal the sentences that were met out against those gentlemen. And you feel that somehow, if what you agitate for had been accepted all along, maybe that whole thing wouldn't even be here. Why do you say that?
Precisely. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's why I bring, every time I've come here, I brought the reference materials. So that I just don't speak from my mouth. But I have to have references. Now, Zambesia indeed was a country on its own. In fact, it was constituted long before the Germans arrived in Namibia. It was a country that was administered by first the Barotsi of Zambia. Secondly,
did Zambia exist at the time?
No, it was called Barotsland. Yes. Secondly, there was a band of warriors that came from South Africa under a king called Sebitwane. In fact, very briefly, this Sebitwane, when he got to Lake Ngami, he got to Lake Ngami on the east of Lake Ngami. And then when he got there, he found a small hole, a small well with water. And then he told the warriors not to give water to the cattle. So the cattle at night smelt water on the west. And at the west there was a tribe called Damaras who had been moving. When they got there, in the morning, Sebitwane ordered his warriors to go and check for the cattle. He sent his army west of Lake Ngami. One group of Damaras went to Divundu. One group of Damaras went to Gobabis. And they found a chief there, a Hottentot chief called Yanionka. And then he told them he doesn't want them to operate their language. Rather, they should learn the Click language. And that's why some of the people we are calling today Damaras, they are actually originally Hereros. Yes, because the language they speak, actually, these Damaras, they came from Zambesia. That's south of the Zambezi River. That's where they came from.
But they arrived at there from the Great Lakes region, or how did they also end up there themselves?
No, to be quite honest, the shortest history they have is they came from south of the Zambezi River. And then the language they operate is very close to the language spoken by a major tribe in Zambia called the Tongas. That's the tribe, that's the language. We don't know how they crossed the Zambezi River to be on the south of the Zambezi River. But they crossed from there, they went to Matebele land, they went to Mozambique, from there they went to Limpopo, from Limpopo, at Limpopo. The grandfather of Lieutenant General Kama. He told them he doesn't want them to be there. Instead, they should go west, because he said that was his watering point.
Okay.
So they left that place and they went there. And King Sibitwane found them there. And then, of course, blood was shed.
Yeah.
And then King Sibitwane continued. He was the first one to cross the Kalahari Desert. He continued up to the Chobe River. And then when he got to the Chobe River, he established a kingdom there. And he called his country Zambesia. Or rather, he called his country Sibitwane country. Zambesia has got 3 or 4 names. Sibitwane country, Sikeletu country, Sibitwane country, Makololo country, Sekeletu country, and then Zambesia. The white people came to revive the name. The name of Zambesia is a very old name. I don't know who named it.
Yeah.
In fact, we have maps here that dates back to, there it is, Zambesia.
Yeah.
This map dates back from 1849 to 1864.
Yeah.
So it's an old country.
Yeah. You see my difficulty, Uncle Ben, every time that you come to the platform to discuss this issue, is your conceptualization of countries. Because you say a country existed then.
Yes.
But a country as we know them today are completely different concepts. It's a conglomeration of people,
tribes and whatever.
Yes, within a particular demarcation. Because if I say, for example, that Zambesia existed as a country, what were the neighboring countries of that country? Because you suggest that there were countries at the time.
Yes. Okay. If that definition does not qualify to be a country, fortunately, we have now an order in council that was issued by the British.
Yeah.
It's written here, England's authority in southern Zambesia. The following order in council has been, an order in council is an old law that established countries in the colonial days.
Why do we need British people to tell us that?
No, the British people were the people that were occupying the place. They came to rule the place.
Around what time?
The British people, I think, they came there. First of all, they followed their missionary, Dr. David Livingstone. He was a missionary, he was an explorer from 1840 to 1855. That's why we have the name of that major waterfall on the Zambezi River being called Victoria Falls. He is the first white man who passed through there. That's why he gave that falls the name Victoria Falls in 1855. Now, when he was coming, where was he coming from, 1855? He was coming from Dinyante, which is in the so-called Caprivi Strip or the Zambezi region today. Yeah. So in 1891, the British came up with an order in council. Now this order in council, it says the limits of this order, it's part of South Africa bounded by the British Bechuanaland. British Bechuanaland was part of Bechuanaland, but it was given to the South Africans, to the Cape Province in 1895. So it no longer exists now. It says the Bechuanaland British Bechuanaland is different from Bechuanaland British Protectorate. Bechuanaland British Protectorate is what we are calling Botswana today. But that was also revoked.
Yeah. So if people who know nothing about us, Uncle Ben, people who know nothing about us, they have no idea about us as Africans and our values and our cultures and our demarcations, our tribal demarcations and whatnot. So they come from Europe, they settle here, they start renaming things like they did with what we call Namibia today. I always give you the example of Angola and Namibia, where some of my people are, the majority of the Mbaja people live in Angola today. Why are we inclined to submit to what they have defined as Zambesia or as whatever, and not go to what it was before? Because when you start reading these chapters here, that is the white man who wrote that. From Europe.
Yes.
As if what the white man says is now finality now. We may no longer debate and even question what they say, because it's us, it's our things.
Unfortunately, that is the order of the day today.
Yeah.
You know, there is nothing we can do. Boundaries, colonial boundaries, they are fixed. They are not flexible.
So then why is Uncle Ben agitating against that very background? Which is a very good point. To say that is the reality today.
Yeah.
So why do we still agitate then for Zambesia?
No, we agitate for Zambesia because it was a country on its own, with its exclusive boundaries, colonial boundaries.
But that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. No.
At what point do we say the white man, that version of the white man is okay, but this one, the one that birthed today's reality, that one we must do away with? I mean, how do we choose which one to go for?
Good question. The truth of the matter is, we were under the dark. We did not know. Take, for instance, the Zambezi region.
Yeah.
We did not know to which territory it belonged to.
Yeah.
All we know is that the English and the Germans had actually come to Southern Africa, and they had divided Southern Africa between the two colonial powers. How did they do that? They did that by saying, we are going to say this line is going to represent the boundary between the Germans and the English.
Yeah.
What is on the west of this line belongs to the Germans. What is on the east of this line belongs to the English. That, I'm afraid, we cannot do anything about it. And in fact, that line, which is the 20th degree east of longitude, was attended by 14 countries, including the United States. So that is a boundary that cannot be unilaterally altered.
The Caprivi strip,
yes,
as some call it today, does that constitute Zambesia, or those are two different?
No, Caprivi strip. In fact, I hope I have not come here to embarrass anybody.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, there is no such a place called Caprivi strip.
No, it's in reference to that strip.
Yes, that is the panhandle. They call it the panhandle of Namibia.
Yeah.
It does not exist.
No, but still, what that shape today, does it constitute? Forget about what you want to call it. Does it constitute what would have been Zambesia, or Zambesia is where in that area?
No, it's part of Zambesia.
Yeah.
In fact, that strip is supposed to be called the additional strip of Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
The Germans, because they had a territory called Tanganyika,
yeah,
on the East Africa, they wanted a shortcut to go there. So they asked the British to go through the British sphere of influence using a strip, and the British agreed. They gave them that agreement. Is called the Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty. Yeah. And they authorized them to pass through there. But that never materialized because the Germans did not know that there is a major waterfall. This is the map.
Yeah.
German Southwest Africa. There is no panhandle This map is 1915,
Yeah.
when the Germans were defeated at Otavi. There was no panhandle here.
But what I keep asking about these maps,
Yeah.
Uncle Ben, is who drew them? What is their concept? What is their
They were drawn by the Germans. They were drawn by the powers that would be. We were under them. Remember, it's the conqueror who writes the final version of the story, not the defeated one. We were in a position of being defeated. So they were the conquerors. So they drew these maps.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But that is exactly what I have a problem with, because they came here, they cut our land into their own domains, and now we say, okay, but they shouldn't have cut it here, or they should have cut it there. But that reality, I mean, at what point, if that is the map now from 1915, at what point did the extension happen? The one that we see today on that map.
The one that we see
The
today.
panhandle, as you call it.
That is what we need to ask ourselves. How did that extension remain? Remember, the Germans were defeated, First World War, 1918. That line was not supposed to be there. Okay, let's put it this way. The English gave the Germans that strip of land in 1890. They gave it to them under the Heligoland, or under the Anglo-German Treaty.
Yeah.
This treaty here. They
Yeah.
gave it to them.
Yeah.
They say you can go up to the Zambezi River. When you get to the Zambezi River, you can put your boats on there, and then you can sail to Mozambique, to the Indian Ocean. They gave it to them. When the Germans realized that there's a waterfall where you cannot put ships there, they abandoned the project.
But that is, I understand. But you see, I still go back to my question, because you see, when I asked what were the neighboring countries of Zambesia, I asked that because I do not believe that countries actually existed. If they did, then there ought to have been more than just Zambesia.
What about Matabeleland? Matabeleland was there.
So Matabeleland is the same as you would say today.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
That's Matabeleland.
No, Matabeleland ought to be a land occupied by the Ndebele people.
Ndebele people, yes. Here, Matabeleland. On the east.
So that for me, Uncle Ben, Matabeleland is just like you're saying, Ovamboland. It's a jurisdiction occupied by that particular tribe.
Yes.
So that doesn't constitute a country.
No, if it has got a king, a monarchy, it's a country.
No, I don't agree.
Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Mbanjas that are here in Namibia.
Yes.
How did they become here in Namibia? Because the League of Nations had authorized South Africa to incorporate southern Angola into the former German Southwest Africa in 1926.
No, not really. The Mbanjas live the way they live today. Where we live is our territory. Is where we have always lived. But we then got split when the Germans and the Portuguese were dividing these territories among themselves, Angola and modern day Namibia. They just cut in the middle of our territory. Some people remain that side today, others remain here today. Just like I was saying the last time we were here, when we were talking about the situation around Eastern Congo, the Banyamulenges, I think is how they are called, that Belgium and was it again German who colonized Rwanda? Yeah. Again, just cut there in the territory of those people. Now, the majority of them live in modern day Rwanda, and a portion of them live in Eastern DRC. And that's why they face a lot of problems, because the Congolese saying, they are not our people, our citizens. They must go back, they are Rwandese, they must go back. And they say, no, but we live within the very territory where we have always lived. So even the Ndebeles, for me, is exactly the same. So, and it's good that you mentioned the kings, because that is what I keep saying to you, Uncle Ben, to say what existed was merely tribal jurisdiction or kingdoms, if you want to call them that way. So if there was a king there in what you are calling Zambesia today.
There was.
So that king lived in that jurisdiction. It doesn't make it a country.
No, but it had tribal boundaries.
Yes, just like any other tribe.
Yeah, it had tribal boundaries. And like let's talk very briefly about the Matebeles.
Yes.
Matebeles, yes, they were living west of the country,
Yeah.
but they were responsible for administering former Mashona land, former Manyika land, which is part of what you call Portuguese East Africa, Mozambique.
Yes.
They were ruling there, you know. So it goes beyond the tribal balances, because this king or this chief is in charge of other tribes. What's the difference to what is happening today? There are many tribes in this country.
Yes.
But they have a unitary government. That's exactly what they had before. And besides, most of these governments that we have today, they are based on tribal settlements. Take, for instance, who was the first white man to come here to colonize the place? It's this Ludris.
Yes.
From Bremen.
Yes.
Okay, he bought that place from the Namas. Okay, now after he bought that place, how did the Berlin Conference? How was it brought about? It was brought about because of that man. Even Europe had a similar state of affairs. People knew where the English were. People knew where the Scottish were. People knew where the French were. People knew, but it was not only the French. There were other minorities in those countries. So to say Zambesia, it was not a country, no, that's not right. Because how could it accommodate and facilitate the Christian movement in that part of the world?
No, because Uncle Ben, the nation states, again, like I keep saying, nation states did not exist. There were no such things as countries at the time. What existed was merely tribal jurisdiction. The Matebele live here, the
Shonas live there.
Shona live there, and that's why you had even those brutal wars between African tribes.
Yes,
because they were overlapping into each other's spaces and whatnot, or even coming to drive you out because you have better pasture and stuff like that. So and then the Berlin Conference happened, and then they said, look, let's go to Africa and cut this big continent into our own colonies, which they did. And that's how nation states were born.
Okay, fine.
So if nation states were born as a result of that, how do we then call anything prior to that a country?
Okay, fine. If let's look at this. If nation states could not be called, okay, so what about then saying that when the Europeans came and instituted countries, can we go back to that period and see? Because here it's defining the country called Zambesia. Here it is saying the country called Zambesia, this is 1891. After the British had granted passage to the Germans, and the Germans had failed to continue because of the waterfall. The English then changes their mind. Then they say, they found the name Zambesia, they found it. And then they say, the parts of South Africa bounded by British Bechuanaland, the German protectorate of Southwest Africa.
But even when you talk about South Africa, did you say South Africa there?
Yeah, bounded by South Africa, yes.
But even South Africa didn't exist as a nation state. That's why I find it contradictory that somehow you had a country called South Africa, but at that period, Namibia as a country, even maybe Southwest Africa didn't even exist.
Okay, yes.
So how would South Africa have existed, but your Zimbabwe didn't exist, your Namibia didn't exist, your Botswana didn't exist? It's only South Africa as a country, and then you have another one called Zambesia.
No, let's put it this way. Let's say, it says, there's parts of South Africa. South Africa was there.
No.
It has been there. No, it has been there.
No, South Africa was not there. South Africa was not...
South Africa only became a union in 1910.
Yes.
But before that, it had the Cape Province, it had the Boer Republic of the Transvaal. South Africa was there, but not united. It was only united in 1910 to become a Republic of South Africa. Now this is in 1891. It says German protectorate, the rivers Chove and the Zambesi, the Portuguese possessions, and the South African Republic. Those are the boundaries of Zambesia, because this Zambesia includes the Chove River and the Zambezi River.
I need you to explain to me, Uncle Ben,
yes,
before we go for a break. If that country existed, how did it disappear from the face of earth in that concept? How did it become
moribund?
Obsolete.
Obsolete.
Yes.
Good question. Zambesia has not completely disappeared because we have got an order in council which established states. The order in council for former Bechuanaland British Protectorate of 27th January 1885. It's there and later revoked. This order in council of 1891, 9th of May 1891, it is still in existence because it has not been repealed. Now what has happened is post-colonial boundaries have been created at the expense of Zambesia. That's what has happened. You know, I was telling you that the English and the Germans have got a boundary 20 degrees east of longitude. That boundary cannot be altered. No, because it was attended by many people. It's in this book here.
Yeah.
It was attended by many people,
yeah,
including the Americans. It was attended by 14 countries. So it cannot. So to tell you the truth, the so-called Caprivi Strip is in the English sphere of influence, not in the German sphere of influence. Okay. That's why that name, Caprivi, is totally misleading. Because the name of the place should be the additional strip of Southwest Africa. Yeah. That is the name of the place. And I think I've got a map for it here. Yeah, this one here. This is the additional strip of Southwest Africa. Yeah. And this is October 1894.
1894.
1894. So really, when you hear people say that part was not part of the German protectorate of Southwest Africa, it's true.
Okay, we will go for a very short break and then
Thank you very much.
Return with Uncle Ben Siyambango.
Have you ever wondered why Grandma keeps her money under the mattress? And why is Angela uninsured? The Namibia Financial Inclusion Survey 2025 will help us find all the answers. From 6 October till the 4th of November 2025, the Namibia Statistics Agency teams in uniforms with tablets will visit homes across all 14 regions to learn about financial access, informal banking and saving habits. Email us at info@nsa.org.na or at 061 431 3200.
We continue to converse with Uncle Ben Siyambango on the agenda. Now, at what point, Uncle Ben, do we say this version of the white man is acceptable, but another version of the same white man is misleading and therefore must be thrown out of the window because it's the same people? They came here, they debated, they among themselves without even our involvement as a people.
Very true.
To say, you Masubias, you Mafwes, you are the owners of this area, you are the original people of this area. If we cut here, if we do this, will we be violating any of your rights or whatever? There was no such consultation.
No, nothing.
Yeah. So why must we then accept just because they said it without our involvement, without our consultation? We must just swallow it, line, hook and sinker.
True. But unfortunately, regrettably, that's what is driving states today. That is the culture and the tradition we are following today.
So why don't we follow things as they are today now?
No, we can't, because we feel that we have been cheated out of a country. We had our own country. That's the way it is. And we have records that this country existed. So all we need is someone to explain to us how this country, how was it disbanded, to use a word, how? When it was a country that was actually there before the white man came to Africa. A country, let's talk about, say, for instance, Barotsland. Barotsland was a country. Although the name is Barotsland, but there were so many tribes there. Like today, I'm sure there are close to 7 million.
What precedent do you think will be set by? Do you want a mere explanation, or do you want actually the return of your country?
We want a restitution of the country.
What precedents would that set?
No, I don't think there's any precedence. What precedent is there? Tatekul, you have this property here. It was there before. And then somebody has messed up its administrative, whatever it is. Why not just say, okay, fine, let's discuss. You can have your part. Yeah. Because now we have a document there which says the Chobe, actually the Chobe and the Zambezi River is what you are calling Caprivi today. Yeah. But it say it belongs to another country called Zambesia. Yeah. How do we get rid of that? Comrade Toivo, how do we get rid of that? It's there. And even, unfortunately, I don't want to talk about the people in prison now. Even these people in prison, it has been their argument to say, look, we were not part of the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa, which is true. You know, in your case, you cannot argue that because there is a resolution of the League of Nations which authorized South Africa to include southern Angola into this country.
But this is the answer that you're not giving me, Uncle Ben, is how did that part of the country become part of this? How at what point in history did it become part of this? What transpired?
Well, people are saying it transpired because of the agreement, the Anglo-German Treaty of 1st July 1890. But that Anglo-German Treaty was never a territorial or a boundary treaty. No, it was a sphere of influence treaty. This one here. It's there.
Yeah.
That's what is being quoted to say, because of that treaty, look, they were given a route. They were given a route to access the Zambezi River. Article 3. Article 3, it's understood that under this arrangement, Germany shall be granted free access from its protectorate to the Zambezi River.
Who gave them that? Who gave them that access?
It's the English, because that area was under the English. That's why this order in council states that this place, the Zambezi River and the Chove River, were under the protection of Her Majesty the Queen. So it's the English who gave the Germans a route to go to the Zambezi River. That was the 1st July 1890. When the Germans failed to make use, because of that hindrance, because of that structure on the Zambezi River, they stopped. The English came back 9th May 1891 with this order in council to say, right, we are placing that place which we gave you to make you to utilize to go to the Tanganyika. We are placing it under a country called Zambesia.
What are you losing by being in the country that you are in today, as opposed to having been in Zambesia?
Truly speaking, one, we are losing our identity.
Which one? Which one? Because you are. I suppose maybe your tribe is which one?
Subia.
You're a Subia man.
Yes.
So your identity as a Subia man is intact. In what way
well,
is it? Yeah.
Identity in terms of one, culture and traditions.
Because you still live there, by the way.
Yeah,
apart from
yes,
apart from your cultural, your tribal identity,
yes,
even the land that you live on today is still that one. It's not like you were moved somewhere from your ancestral land or anywhere, and therefore, in the process, you are losing your identity. You are still on that very land.
True, but what about the status of being a minority?
Minority is strictly only in reference to the number
of people. Yes.
But it doesn't, there's nothing else that that is taken away from you because you are a minority of some sort.
What about free movements? Like, for instance, now, the previous government had placed Chove River as a boundary between Botswana and Namibia. They are Subia people, part of, just like you. My tribe is partly in Botswana, in the Chove district. And then in the Zambezi region, there is no free movement. If I want to go to Satao, to Nandawe, to go for a morning or whatever, I need a document, a passport, to cross the Chove River and go and attend a funeral there.
But that is not unique to you, Uncle Ben. I have a lot of relatives in Angola.
Yes.
I have to have documents, passports, or a pass of some sort to cross the Namibia-Angola border to go and visit my grandmother's sisters in Angola.
Right. So, but you know what?
Yeah.
Yours, it was imposed earlier on. Ours,
Yeah.
It has just been imposed since 1966.
Why does the time matter? Because you see, that is also the argument that we have in this country. Even the debate about ancestral land.
Ancestral land, yes.
The late President Hage Geingob once asked, how far back in history must we go? Do we go up to a point which is convenient for you? And then we say, okay, ancestral land is from that period so that it suits you? Because if we go further back, the narrative changes. So even in that case, why must we only say, okay, it's only correct if it's from this time on, but if it's like mine now, somehow I'm not...
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is the Europeans came and they taught us to establish countries. We established countries.
Yeah.
Zambesia was established. It was not proclaimed. It was established. And then we gotten used to free movement in that area, which we don't have now.
If the debate, Uncle Ben, if the debate was around this controversial agreement that we've seen recently that is roundly opposed by people in Zambezi today, which I think President Geingob signed 2018 or something like that.
Yes, 2018.
Yeah, and it really left a lot of river people bordering the river there in territorial mess there.
Yes, yes.
If that was the debate, to say as a result of that, we can no longer now visit our Subia cousins on the other side or this side or whatever, then I would agree. I personally do not agree with that agreement myself, as much as I don't know much all the finer details about it. But the little that I've read about that agreement is actually shocking. We conceded too much to Botswana instead of having a give and take sort of situation at best. That I can agree. But if we say even beyond that we must now go back to another country, because you are really the movement, yes, I understand that movement, but everybody, if you go to the south, there are Namas living in South Africa, and there are Namas living here. Mm-hmm. The Tswanas in Botswana, in Khobabis area, that side of Kalahari, also have their cousins or whatever. And that's why I was asking you earlier about the precedent that this whole thing was said. Because if you can be granted your country back, country in quotation marks, on those grounds, I would also demand the same as Mbajaman. The Tswanas in Namibia will say, we want our cousins back in this country, or we want, it's just a...
No, but the difference here is you come from an established country called Angola. It was there. Angola was there for 500 years.
No, it was not Angola. It was just
What
land.
was it?
It was just land like the land that you are on today.
Yeah.
The definition and conceptualization of Angola as a state only came after the Berlin Conference.
After the Berlin Conference.
Yes.
So, can we assume that then the starting point should be the Berlin Conference? Can we?
I think
if that is the case, then
yes.
If the Berlin Conference is the starting point,
yes,
for a country,
because generally
for a country's existence,
because that is the generally accepted position now.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, if Zambesia was there after if Zambesia was there before and after the Berlin Conference, how do we treat that?
No. If after the Berlin Conference,
yes,
there was nothing called Zambesia. After 1885?
1885. Yeah,
1884, 1885.
Yes.
Yeah, that period, because it happened, I think, late 84, spilling into 85. If after that, there was nothing of the sort, there was nothing called Zambesia after that at all.
You mean in terms of a country,
yes,
or in terms of whatever? Because if you have a map...
Because if it existed, it would entail that somebody after 1980,
1885.
1885, occupied that country. Others occupied what is Namibia today. Others occupied what is Botswana today. And then there was that one that occupied that part and named it something. But that didn't happen.
No, but this country, we have a map of 1849 to 1864. And that map...
No, but we're talking about now. We say if we are using now 1884 as a starting point.
Okay, let's start at 1884, 1885.
Yes.
As is whatever. This country was established.
Who was the colonial ruler of Zambesia post 1885?
The English. The English were the colonial rulers because of the boundary between the telegraph, which announced the settlement between the English and the German government, reached us in Bechuanaland in the following March 14, 1885. German Empire has been informed by Her Majesty's ambassador at Berlin that Bechuanaland and Kalahari is limited for the first section of Order in Council of 27th January 1885 is under British protection. So that the English had already established this territory, the Bechuanaland British Protectorate. They established that after 1884, 1885. Okay? Then, after that, the English went for what they call a British sphere of influence.
Yeah.
They declared that British sphere of influence along the Zambezi River and the adjacent lands from 1885 to 1887. In fact, when you look at Zambesia, you see the establishment of Zambesia follows the pattern of the British sphere of influence. And unfortunately, if you read this, you will find that Bechuanaland British Protectorate was abolished.
Do you support secessionism?
No, it's not secessionism. Secessionism is a word that was grafted by the Americans when the North and the South were fighting for a policy to maintain slave trade. That is secessionism. It was one country. After the 4th of July, 1775, they made one country. When they turned against the British.
Yeah, but the meaning today, Uncle Ben, means just to secede a territory from another. That is really the simplistic way of looking at it.
Okay, you can put it the simplistic way. But secessionism, the way it has been interpreted now, it's like that part was part of this country when it was not.
No, it is now.
No. Okay, now it is, yeah. But it was not historically.
That's why I'm asking now.
Yeah.
Now that today, for it to be separated, that would mean you have to secede it from the country today, because today it's part of Namibia. So I then ask, do you support that the country be seceded? Because today it's attached now.
When we talk about a restitution of Zambesia, inevitably that will have to happen.
Yeah.
You know, inevitably. All we are asking for is, look, we had a country, and our country, we find, so please, can someone explain to us how, apart from this agreement, there's no way that German protectorate can be there. No way.
Whose agreement is that?
This was an agreement between the English and the Germans.
And we are supposed to believe that it's a genuine document and everything.
Yeah, now,
because earlier you also spoke about history being written by victors.
Of course, they were the victors. English and the Germans were the victors until the First World War. And especially the influence of German before the war was very powerful. They were the people. That's why even the Berlin Conference had to take place in Berlin. They were very powerful people. So this agreement, the German history, and it says here that it's understood that under this arrangement, whatever. And what is also very interesting here, it says it says they were only given, the Germans were only given free access from its protectorate to the Zambezi by means of a strip of land not less than 20 English miles wide at any point. 20 English miles. So in fact, it's like a street. So if we are talking about Caprivi Strip, then that 20 English miles wide should be the Caprivi Strip. But the rest of the country is Zambesia.
This is probably the last time, Uncle Ben, that we're having this conversation. Of course, I'll invite you to the platform for other topics, because I think we've exhausted it time and again. What are your thoughts? You alluded to the people that are in jail as being, as having been part of that clarion call for the restitution of what you are calling Zambesia. Because my difficulty really in closing, Uncle Ben, is that post 1884, we have what is called Namibia. The people in today's Zambezi region, all of them, consider themselves Namibians. They have Namibian identity documents.
1884. They were not. That part was not part of Southwest Africa.
No, I'm saying
okay.
I'm saying post.
Okay.
Post
fine.
that period. If everybody is really, because I remember asking you one time whether a referendum would be fair, and I think if I remember correctly, you said no. We should not even venture into that space. It's not an outcome of that, especially if it defeats what you're fighting for. It doesn't make history now true that what you're saying is not true. So if what must happen now, really?
What must happen now is
the government offices are there, people are happy, people are schooling there, the Namibian government's constitution applies in that area. The people in Zambezi live exactly where they ought to live. I just don't understand the agitation.
No, the agitation is that, like I said, we are no longer Zambezians. We are Zambezians. We drink the water from the Zambezi River. Number two, we are river races. If you put us as part of this country, we lose those two things.
Yes.
Although
you are still by the river, you still drink from the river.
Yeah, although physically we are still there. Number three, the management of land. We administer land in a different fashion, based on historical precepts, whatever it is.
Who says the new leadership, assuming there was going to be one, of Zambesia will not have, because you could argue successfully for the return, theoretically speaking, for the return of that land. We don't know who will rule it. We don't know what kind of laws and policies they're going to put in place. So even the administration of land, there's no guarantee that it will be administered differently from the way it is done today.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that I don't know.
Yeah.
But frankly speaking, we, especially the issue, let's talk about the history. What sort of history should be taught in the Zambezi region?
I think that the true history of what transpired is what must be told.
Exactly.
What we don't know is now, I mean, personally at least, I don't know which one is the correct history. You are more learned in the subject of that specific issue than I am. But I don't know. But history ideally must be taught exactly the way
it was.
Yes.
But that's not happening today.
Yeah.
No. The children there are learning the history of, say, Reverend Vitboy.
Yeah.
When we have a rich cultural history from the days when we were ruled by the Barotse kings from Western Zambia, from the days when we were ruled by King Sebitwane.
Yeah.
You know, the children are not being taught where they came from. Because of what? Because of our association to Namibia. Because the history of Reverend Vitboy, that is the history of Namibia.
I understand. I am afraid that is the only time that we had Uncle. It's always great speaking to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that is Ben Siyambango. He is again on the platform tonight speaking about Zambesia, that mythical country that a lot of us still need to understand better. Thank you for watching.